Every day, hundreds of thousands of patrolmen report for duty, armed with a badge in the latest in video technology. You are about to witness their never-before-seen footage, their stories caught on tape. Now on Disorderly Conduct, you never know what will end a pursuit. It could be a bridge, it could be a bullet, it could be a well-placed pit maneuver. This guy forgets his manners. This guy forgets his balance. And this store has an unforgettable grand opening. Video you'll never forget is coming at you on Disorderly Conduct. A caravan of squad cars pursues a pickup truck just outside Salt Lake City, Utah. The 17-year-old driver was reportedly involved in a domestic dispute and took off when officers were called to the scene. Just ahead, a trooper runs onto the roadway and tosses a spike strip in the truck's path. But the pickup pulls wide and avoids the trap. The teenager hits speeds of nearly 100 miles an hour as he races from one side of the interstate to the other. Suddenly, he cuts across the median and flies down the off-ramp. But the squad cars are right with him when he heads into a curb. The pickup is going nearly 70 miles an hour when the young driver loses control and shoots off the road. He takes out a road sign a split second before slamming head-on into the base of the overpass. As the dust clears, police approach the truck with guns drawn. It soon becomes apparent that the young man is badly injured, and the officers holster their weapons. The teenager is airlifted to the hospital in critical condition with internal injuries and a broken leg. But ultimately, he survives the horrible crash. It's a late afternoon in Williamson County, Texas, and a very dangerous man is on the run from police. A radio check shows this biker eluded arrest 3 weeks earlier on drug charges, and he's known to carry a pistol. An officer waits up ahead with a loaded weapon in case the suspect tries to run him down. But the biker goes off-road to get around him. The cop in the camera car decides it's time to close in. Moments later, the man seems to signal his adversary. Then the officer tries to bump the biker off his ride. But the suspect is able to stay on board and takes this show back on the road. Now on the highway, this guy still seems to think two wheels can outrun four. Soon, 2 dash cams document the drama as the biker goes one-on-one with the lead cruiser. At one point, the man heads for the cornfields, then seems to think better of it. A short time later, the suspect leaves the road for good. Two determined troopers, one desperate man, and neither side is about to give in or give up. It's time for a plan. The officers decide to box him in with a V formation. One cruiser goes left, the other goes right. And soon the suspect is caught in between. He's forced to a stop and begins grabbing for something. That's a .38 caliber handgun. The officers can be heard warning the suspect. But he makes the mistake of pointing his weapon at the officers and is fatally shot.
Jerry, we got shots fired! Shots fired! Suspect is down!
It turns out the biker had an outstanding warrant on charges of manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance. An officer in Port Arthur, Texas, wants to question a young man he spots wandering down the road. But watch as the simple pedestrian stop suddenly turns ugly.
The reason why you're being stopped today is walking on the wrong side of the roadway.
No, I was going home. I was finna cross.
Place hands on the front car.
Instead of putting his hands on the car, the man forms a fist and unloads. Off camera, the officer tries to tase the suspect, but misses. Then the man runs, with the officer close behind.
I'm running north.
The suspect runs to his home where he's quickly apprehended. He's charged with assault on a public servant. His 4-second attack ends up costing him 5 years of probation and a hefty fine. Up next on Disorderly Conduct. A suspect is fenced in, but not for long. And a clerk in a convenience store takes a wicked shot, but refuses to go down. There's more Disorderly Conduct on the way. A Pontiac Firebird is flying through Florida's Panhandle. It all began in neighboring Alabama when police tried to stop the car for simply not having license plates. But the driver sped off, then later allegedly rammed a squad car and tried to run an officer down. An Alabama trooper shot out his back window before he fled into Florida, where Holmes County cops lay down a spike strip.
Okay, he spiked him.
The spike barely slows this guy down as he races toward a more populated area. The officer thinks it's time to spin him out. It isn't long before the driver starts to slow down.
He got 2 flat tires. He coming into town. Let me see if I can't spin him out.
Then the Firebird takes flight again and swerves around a squad car. If a couple of flat tires and a shot-out window don't stop this guy, maybe a roadblock will. Then again, maybe it won't. Now, with open road ahead, it's time to get up close and personal with this guy. Here's another view from a second dashboard camera. The driver regains control, but the trooper is not about to back off. The suspect swerves through a service station as a customer runs for his life. Then the opportunity presents itself to make contact yet again. It seems like nothing will take this guy off the road. With white smoke and black rubber coming from the car, he still refuses to call it quits. Then finally, he goes off-road. nearly hits a utility pole and rolls to a stop. With one last bump, this two-state tale of terror comes to an end. So why would someone do all this just to avoid a ticket for no license plates? It may be because methamphetamines and drug paraphernalia are found strewn throughout the car. The man receives a 38-month jail sentence after being booked for reckless endangerment and possession of a controlled substance. It's business as usual at a convenience store in Fort Worth, Texas. A man asks the clerk if he has any dimes for change.
No, they haven't been coming out of the street. That nickel with no dime.
It sounds like a normal request. And that's exactly what this thief wants the clerk to believe. The small talk is all about waiting for the cash register to open. That's when the transaction turns into trouble. It's called a smash and grab. The robber smashes the clerk and grabs the cash. The worker gets knocked down, but isn't out. He hops the counter and bravely goes after the thief, who unfortunately peels out and escapes. Luckily, all the damages are minor. The suspect gets away with only $80 and the clerk walks away with just a headache.
I'm counting 5, 6, 8 police cars following this stolen pickup right now.
A quiet neighborhood in Oklahoma City is about to get an unwelcome visitor. Police and TV news helicopters have followed this truck as it tore through city streets at speeds close to 100 miles an hour. Now it's tearing up this well-manicured suburban neighborhood. Leaving wheel-sized divots in its wake.
He's doing everything he can to get away. He's jumping curbs and just blew the right front tire.
Police keep the pickup in their sights and hope to keep it in the neighborhood. The last thing they want is for it to get out and start another high-speed chase.
Just blew right through Pennsylvania Avenue, still headed east towards the mall.
The suspect finally runs out of real estate.
It's a dead-end street. He has nowhere to go.
He leaps from his car and vaults over a fence. With an officer right behind him. The suspect is off and running. And disappears into a mall. Backup arrives, and police quickly take down the suspect inside the mall.
I just heard on the radio they got him in custody.
He's charged with auto theft, eluding a police officer, and driving with a suspended license. Police also charge him with possession of marijuana. Still to come on disorderly conduct. A cop keeps his cool when a DUI suspect gets in his face. And 3 robbery suspects on the run are no match for 2 crunching cruisers. There's more action coming right at you on disorderly conduct. It's a dramatic police pursuit in the Detroit suburb of Livonia, Michigan, all captured on 4 police dash cams. One officer backs up and rams the car to try to stop the 3 suspects from fleeing. The suspects, who police believe robbed a nearby restaurant, take off at high speed. But not before one cop gets a shot off. Now you can see this officer open fire, blowing out the back window. Suddenly, they swerve off the freeway and onto an off-ramp. The suspects and the parade of police cars fly through busy intersections. And then back onto the freeway at breakneck speed. The officers are getting frustrated. Moments later, they are off the freeway again.
It's a matter of time before he crashes, boys.
The lead patrol car starts to catch up. He gets so close, you can see the blown-out back window. Suddenly, the lead officer sees his chance, then executes the precision immobilization technique, the pit maneuver. And another officer makes sure this is over once and for all. The other dash cams record the dramatic end to this dangerous chase. Officers quickly surround the 3 suspects in the wrecked car. All 3 surrender and face numerous charges, including fleeing and evading and armed robbery. And this perfect pit maneuver brought a 100-mile-an-hour chase to a safe end. It's January 1st, and police in Austin, Texas are looking for a drunk driver who rang in the new year by ramming his truck into a pole. The DWI suspect hitched a ride and fled the scene. The owner of the car gives up his passenger as the driver of the wrecked pickup.
What happened? Nothing? Nothing at all happened, huh?
The young man is glassy-eyed and has alcohol on his breath.
So you weren't just involved in a collision over there? How much you had to drink tonight?
More questions follow.
You got any idea what time it is right now? 2:30?
But less than a minute later, the suspect's in a different time zone.
What time do you think it is right now? 3:30. About 3:30? Okay.
The officer knows exactly what time it is. Time for a sobriety test. At first, the suspect is calm and
Go ahead and
cooperates.
complete the test for me, okay?
But he grows more impatient with each misstep.
No, we can't call anybody.
I want to go home, dude. I really want to go home.
The officer administers one last test.
Straighten your legs. Gotta keep your legs straight.
The suspect fails.
Placing you under arrest for driving while intoxicated.
Once he knows he's going to jail, his suppressed anger finally explodes.
You're a hoe. I heard no one. You're a hoe.
Oh my God.
You need to calm down.
Cigarette. You. Cigarette.
It's the policeman who remains calm even after the suspect spits in his face. Not once, but twice. Officers finish searching the irate man and move him to the squad car where his tirade continues. The patrolman turns the dash cam around and reads the suspect the charges and his rights.
Alleged has been committed while you were operating a motor vehicle.
This guy has heard enough legalese for one night. The trip to the station house is one long, rambling rant. Broken up by the occasional outburst.
I saw you blink. What? What? Oh, that's bitch.
The young man who spit in the face of the law definitely starts the new year off on the wrong foot. He's booked for driving while intoxicated and possession of marijuana. The trooper driving this squad car is on a critical mission. His job is to intercept a pursuit suspect who is racing down a Texas highway at nearly 120 miles an hour. He and his partner must throw down a spike strip, and at this speed, anything can happen. They reach the highway moments ahead of the suspect, and now it's showtime.
Go! Spike deployed! Spike deployed!
Even though the pickup truck flies by at lightning speed,
Spike deployed! Spike deployed!
the sharp metal spikes hit their mark.
Went on the spike strip. He's trying to slow down, but then he's picking up speed. We're fixing to go past the water tower now.
Now it's a matter of hoping that punctured tires can slow this guy down before he kills someone. As the camera car closes in on the chase, it becomes obvious that the spikes did their job. Moments later, the suspect decides to take the pursuit off-road. Wounded wheels and all. But despite loss of speed and traction, this guy still won't call it quits. He even manages to make it back to the pavement, but his steering leaves much to be desired.
Get on it! Get on it! We're not gonna let it kill nobody out here.
When he leaves the highway one last time, even he knows this is over. Texas troopers approach the suspect's vehicle with their guns drawn. Police were wondering why the suspect ran, since the original charge was just for speeding.
What are you running for? Huh?
It may be because officers find illegal drugs scattered in the pickup. The man now faces felony charges for both drugs and evading arrest. Straight ahead on disorderly conduct. These guys aren't checking into this hotel. They're cashing out. And an officer and his police dog team up to overcome an armed and dangerous suspect. It's all next on Disorderly Conduct. Deputy Jay Dempsey responds to a complaint about a group of young people making noise and gambling in a Selma, Alabama neighborhood. The officer's canine partner is in the cruiser when he orders the crowd to disperse. But a fight breaks out off camera when Officer Dempsey finds crack cocaine on one of the young men. The deputy uses a wireless remote to release his dog from the cruiser. The canine immediately joins the fray, pulling and tugging at the suspect as his friends flee the scene. The young man is bigger and stronger than the deputy, and the lawman struggles to cuff him. Officer Dempsey is losing, and he knows it. Things are getting worse by the second. The suspect grabs the officer's Beretta sidearm and uses it to club the police dog. Then he aims the weapon at the deputy.
All I could see was the barrel pointing at me, and the barrel looked about that big. And he told me that I was gonna die.
The suspect pulls the trigger, but the gun doesn't fire.
I remember thinking, are you gonna let this guy kill you? Or are you gonna get up, fight?
The canine lunges at the suspect. It distracts him just long enough for the officer to get to his feet and pull out his backup pistol. The suspect still can't get the Beretta to fire and runs as Officer Dempsey empties his weapon.
I remember leveling off my sights and thinking, I just gotta be faster than him. He's gonna get that gun to go off sooner or later.
The gunman is hit and falls to the ground. It is then that Officer Dempsey first learns that the Beretta had jammed.
One man down.
The young man who overpowered a deputy and threatened him with his own handgun died at the scene. And the police dog who helped save Officer Dempsey's life was retired due to injuries she received in this life and death struggle. It's 3:30 in the morning when two men walk up to a hotel counter in Tampa, Florida. They're looking for a room. The night clerk tells them the hotel is full. They change their request. Now they want a job application. And the clerk hands a pen to the applicant. The man appears to be writing while his friend rests his head on the counter. But what they're really doing is watching and waiting. The man drops his pen and reaches into his pants. The next thing she knows, the clerk is staring down the barrel of a rifle. The gunman orders her to open the cash drawer. His accomplice leans across the counter and grabs a handful of bills. Just then, another hotel guest enters the lobby. The man points the rifle at her and warns both women not to call the police. But the robbers are barely out of the lobby when the clerk is on the phone calling 911. Another surveillance camera tapes the thieves as they flee on bicycles. But a bike plus a rifle does not add up to a smooth getaway. The robber crashes to the pavement. The gunman is on foot when police nab him not far from the hotel. His partner is arrested a month later. Both are charged with armed robbery and aggravated assault with a firearm. In addition, the thief who terrorized two women with a loaded rifle also confessed to a string of unsolved armed robberies. This parking lot looks like the end of the road for a stolen truck in Sikeston, Missouri. Other squad cars arrive, and weapons are drawn. The man and woman inside rolled the pickup after fleeing a traffic stop earlier in the day. The roof is bashed in and the truck barely drivable, but this pair isn't ready to surrender. The couple ignores the guns pointed at them and the chase resumes. With all the exits blocked, the suspects take the battered pickup off-road, plowing through the grass as squad cars race to cut them off. The truck bounds back onto solid ground, then takes off down the road. This rambling wreck isn't going to outrun anybody, and police know it. But they also know the public is at risk every second these dangerous and unpredictable suspects remain on the road. Officers are determined to stop them right here, right now. The cruiser speeds up and pulls in front of the pickup, trying to box him in. But the truck never slows down. It rams into the back of the cruiser, careens across the road, and crashes head-on into a telephone pole, splitting it in half. The rear of the squad car crumples from the impact. The view from a second dash cam shows the truck slamming into a cruiser, then flying off the road. The officer in the rear-ended squad car is treated for neck and back injuries. The driver of the stolen pickup receives a concussion, while his female passenger suffers a fractured neck. Both are charged with felony assault on a police officer. When disorderly conduct returns,
They've used their guns to blow the tires out.
sparks fly as a slow-speed chase grinds its way through LA streets. And a convenience store unexpectedly adds a drive-through window. We've got the tape on disorderly conduct. A badly damaged truck lumbers through the streets of Southern California.
Pursuit has meandered through the streets of Los Angeles, almost into the Orange County area.
The pursuit began when the driver, a convicted felon on parole, tried to run down an officer who stopped him for a minor traffic violation. The parolee thought the officer would notice he was smoking marijuana and feared that he'd be sent back to prison. This 2.5-hour slow-speed pursuit almost came to an early end when the truck got stuck in a carport in a narrow alley. The tight squeeze ripped a gash in the side of the truck and peeled back part of its roof like a can opener.
They've used their shotguns to blow the vehicle's tires out, but this small white van continues to drive.
The disabled truck rambles on for over 150 miles through numerous cities in the Los Angeles area, its rear axle grinding into the pavement, shooting sparks and trailing smoke. It may be slow-moving, but this wobbly truck presents a real danger to the public as it rolls blindly through city streets. Police take their first shot at a pit maneuver, but it fails, and the suspect keeps on trucking.
Sparks continue to fly from the van as the rims continue to drive along this asphalt.
Officers try a second pit, and a few minutes later, when the suspect tries to turn, it looks like they may have him this time. Then he straightens out and the chase continues. But the officer stays on his tail, and the third pit is the charm. The driver finally loses control of the truck, and the pursuit comes to a jolting end. Police swarm in with guns drawn.
Officer approaching, opening up the door, and now pulling the suspect to the ground.
The suspect is arrested and charged with 7 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Charges that carry a lot more jail time than being caught smoking marijuana. It's a quiet Monday morning in this Warren, Rhode Island convenience store. A customer makes a small purchase as he jokes with the clerk. Suddenly, someone crashes the party. A 17-year-old boy loses control of his mom's SUV and crashes through the store's glass door. One of the cameras shows just how close the customer comes to being hit. This second angle shows the shaken but uninjured driver. In the end, no one is hurt, and the driver is cited for failure to maintain control of a motor vehicle. As for the store, it's back in business several days later, and the owner is hoping insurance will cover his losses. This sedan has been carjacked on the streets of West Palm Beach, Florida, by a suspect armed with an ice pick. Desperate to shake the officer, this suspect keeps making sudden turns and almost crashes. The driver swerves up onto the curb and back onto the road. The suspect can barely keep the speeding sedan under control. The suspect drives dangerously and travels much too fast to make this corner. The driver's very lucky he doesn't slam into that lamp. He makes a hard right turn and hits his brakes. Now the foot chase is on. The cops quickly get their man. After leading officers on this high-speed pursuit through the suburbs of West Palm Beach, the man is hit with a long list of charges including armed carjacking and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Down the road on disorderly conduct. It begins as a hot pursuit and ends in a fiery rollover. And a suspect picks a fight with his pickup. Score one for the truck. Coming up on disorderly conduct. It's early evening in Hollywood, California, and police are in pursuit of a man they suspect is in possession of drugs. They also believe that he's armed and dangerous. The chase shifts into high gear with the suspect all over the road. On the freeway, and off again. The chase moves onto one of Hollywood's busiest streets, Highland Avenue. But this guy isn't about to slow down, so he creates his own fast lane. On the sidewalk, followed by at least one cruiser. Then back on the street again, he barely misses a group of pedestrians. Just when it looks like the suspect might be ready to give up, he pulls a dangerous U-turn and gives the cops the slip again. He toys with police, pretending to pull over. But hitting the gas again. The chase climbs into the Hollywood Hills as the suspect speeds along winding roads with his lights out. Police are at their wits' end. Just when it looks like they'll have to take him out, he does it himself. The suspect slams into a guardrail, careens across the street and rolls, trapping him inside as the undercarriage bursts into flames. Officers pull the suspect from the burning wreckage. Despite a few cuts and bruises, he'll be fine. But as far as the law is concerned, he's looking at possession of narcotics, felony evading, as well as several traffic violations. A suspect flees from police on foot as a car is pulled over for a moving violation in Elgin, Texas. The officer pursues the suspect, but he loses him. The lawman decides to head back to check on the car and catches the driver trying to leave the scene. The suspect throws it in reverse. And now it's a backwards chase down a dirt road. Until the suspect manages to swing things around, getting this chase into gear. He's managed to stay on the road so far, but several miles into the chase, the suspect gets tired of running. And he does what any tired driver would do. He steps on the brakes. The police cruiser slams into the back of the suspect's car. That's it for the camera and for the suspect. He's later booked for fleeing and evading police.
What's your name, officer?
Some people think they know all the right words to say to an arresting police officer.
You I dated and Judge's daughter when I grew up.
The police, however, do not regard this as a glowing character reference.
I got respect for the law. I should have gone to Carolina.
Now he's taken in for DUI in Bonifay, Florida, in serious need of a lawyer. And not even his truck is gonna give this guy an ounce of respect.
You want to be a
Well, at least he manages to get himself another date.
You I dated and Judge's daughter when I grew up.
This time with a judge, no daughter.
You want to be a
Cherry Sunday.